What's up, guys? I'm Jeff.
I'm Alyssa.
And welcome back to the Real Life Podcast, where we talk about faith, culture, and answer your questions. Drum roll, please. This is a special episode. Why is this a special episode? Because I think of every single topic that we talk about on this podcast, and not in like a prideful way. It's just like Alyssa usually like wants me to, she just says like, you pick it and I'll show up because I got to take care of baby and the kids and all that stuff and do some stuff. So like, you just tell me what to talk about and we'll talk about it. So I do. But guess what, guys? 2 seconds before we started saying hello on this podcast and 5 minutes before she started having that cough attack.
Sorry.
She said, I want to take this one. But she said, I'm going to surprise you. So I don't know what we're about to talk about, guys. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it live. And Bill O'Reilly.
And
Bill
truly,
O'Reilly. That if anyone knows that meme, they do. I think I've done that like 5 times on the podcast, but we're going to do it live. That's like the best. Don't watch that, by the way, if you don't like swear words and like. Just
don't watch it.
Don't watch it. It's
don't
bad.
Watch it.
But if you've accidentally watched it already, laugh with me what I just said there, because you know what I'm talking about. We're going to do it live. Okay, what were you going to say though? Surprise me. We're doing it live. Surprise me.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot. This will just be off the cuff because I just thought of the topic, but. I was listening to Behind the Scenes podcast with Audrey and Jeremy Roloff.
Hold on.
Friends.
Harder plug right there. Amazing podcast. You need to go download it right now. You need to go listen to it. There was these two people that interviewed named Jefferson and Alyssa Bethke, I think.
Except that's not the podcast I was listening to.
Oh.
Yeah,
sad.
But we were on it last week.
No, yeah. Really seriously though, guys, Jeremy and Audrey, they're amazing friends, awesome people. Behind the Scenes podcast is an amazing podcast. Just wanted to make sure it got all the glory that it needs. So
yes,
ahead.
But they had interviewed John Mark Comer, my favorite pastor from Portland, a few weeks ago about marriage. And one of the questions that, I'm going to kind of get to it, but one of the questions they had asked kind of was like, you know, he had kind of a struggle in his marriage at the beginning, and then how did they like really work through things and what brought them together and like healed things. And he made this comment that just blew me away. And he said, and I won't get it right, just go listen to the podcast. It's literally the best best message I've ever heard on marriage.
Whenever you're listening to this, this is May 2nd that we're recording this, and it probably was like a month ago, probably in their feed.
Yeah.
So basically go to Behind the Scenes podcast and go back to like April, just to help you out there.
The best message I've ever heard on marriage. It doesn't matter if you're married, if you're single, if you're divorced, you need to listen to it. But he basically said pain is what brought them really close together. And I feel like that just really struck a chord. So the topic I want to talk about this week is how pain can be beautiful. And it actually is what gives us, what we can actually like learn to give praise for pain. Mm-hmm. And then how pain really draws us close together to people. And I was thinking about that. That's so true in marriage. Like pain is what really has brought Jeff and I joys too, and of course in victories and celebrations. But those pain moments are what like really melts us together. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But I think about that too with my...
Thanks. I'll try to give it to you.
I think about that too with my friends. When I think about my really, really close friends who I just like am so thankful for. They feel like soul sisters, but just like truly, these are the friends that the Lord has given me, and I hold them really deep in my heart. And we've gotten so close because we've had those moments of walking through pain together. Like whether it's been anxiety, depression issues, or, hard relationship issues, marriage issues, grief, miscarriages, like those moments that they have entered into that's when we become so close. And I think sometimes pain can show you who your true friends are. I think when you go through really hard seasons, the way that people step into it or pursue you in it or let you grieve in it make you feel really safe. And it kind of just shows you who your true friends are, but also who you want to be in your life, like as your core people. Just how they like walk through it with you, that they feel it with you, they empathize with you, they're praying with it for you, they totally get it, they're faithful, they're patient with you, they don't just not recognize it or not acknowledge it or do it one time and then forget about it. It's like the people that walk through pain with you. I feel like those are the people that are like your people for life. And I feel like there's not the words to properly say how deep they go in your heart. But I just think of that verse. I think it's Philippians 1:4, where Paul's talking to the church and he's like, I hold you in my heart. And I feel like that's how I feel about the people that I've walked through pain with. And then I think on another level, that with the Lord, like I hate pain. I hate trials. I hate hard times. But it's in those times when I look back on my life, in those times, those have been the sweetest, because it's like the Lord, it's me and the Lord. And that's when I've gotten to know the Lord in the most intimate ways, and have really, my faith has been strengthened so much. And all those verses about, give thanks for the various trials you're in, because it produces endurance and character and steadfastness and hope. It's like we're being refined by fire, and what comes out is this pure beauty, not only as us being sanctified, but in our relationship with the Lord, with each other. And so I just wanted to have that conversation with you, what you think about that, and how pain really does. Nobody likes pain, but if we allow it to, because I think we can resist it and let it be bitter or put up walls or isolate us. But if we allow it to let God in and do the beautiful work, I think it can really create beauty and really intimacy.
Yeah.
And we can truly give thanks for it because of the fruit that it produces.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's so true. I think, it's hard because I think it can actually go both ways. I think how you engage with a painful situation or a trial can actually grow you closer to someone or to the Lord, or make you go away from them.
Totally. Yes.
And so that usually tends to...
I was thinking the one way, but yes, totally. If you're bitter, resentful...
Well, it's usually, I don't think you're bitter or resentful. I think you close yourself off from the pain, right. Which then creates all those... Guys, I got struggle in the throats right now.
Hold on. Just take a moment?
Okay. I don't think bitterness or hardening or, resentment is even what makes you more distant or say no to that, what the good process that pain can do. I think the first step is usually closing yourself off because you feel like it's too painful, and you feel like the one thing that'll make it go away is if you close yourself off. Yeah, and then you close yourself off, and that creates bitterness, resentment, and like that becomes those become symptoms. And that tends to be a lie. I think most people would say this, that when it's a defense mechanism, right? Like you want to, there is a part of us which is wired to protect ourselves, self-preservation. And one of those ways is to protect ourselves from pain, trials, hardships, things that are really, really difficult. And one of the ways we do that is by kind of like trying to close the gate. Don't let any more in. But the lie is that that's going to help us when most of us know who've done that before. It hurts you. It goes worse. You go into isolation. It hardens your heart. You start to just be distant from the Lord and friends and people and things. And I know a couple even marriages where maybe the most traumatic thing you can even think of in the sense of like a child dying or something, right? And I've seen that in the worst way make the marriage blow up. Because it's really difficult to walk through. But I've also seen, a select few where, not in the sense of where no one wishes that it happened, but the pain was so searing and they walked through it so faithfully that it brought them closer together, like you said. Yeah. So it can kind of go both ways. And sometimes it only takes, the hard part is too, if you're listening and you're in a friendship or a marriage or any type of relationship where it's you are leaning into the pain, but relationships take two people. So then if the other person closes off, that's really difficult, because then you feel like it doesn't, one person can kind of dictate the two. And that kind of is sometimes hard when you feel like the thing that they choose, they're closing off, isn't what you want, but it creates kind of the future that they created with the distancing or with the closing off. So that's sometimes hard. But I agree. So that's just
those
a little,
really
that's a little caveat. I
wasn't even thinking about those.
No, that's a little caveat and a precursor. But then I think the rest of the episode, I think, is more what you're saying, is there is an encouragement. And the main point we're trying to make, and what Alyssa's saying, is let it actually, let yourself be open to it, because it actually is a gift. It is a gift that can help you, that can encourage you, that can lift you up, that can grow you. I mean, I forgot what the quote is. I put it in Jesus' Grade in Religion. So if you've have that by you, look it up. It's I wrote it 7 years ago now at this point. But there was a quote in like chapter 6 or 7 from this lady, I forget, something to the extent of like, beautiful people don't just happen. And then she goes on to say that beautiful people happen via pain. The people that have gone through the absolute worst case scenarios and situations in their lives tend to be the people that are just those radiant, unbelievably anchored and centered and almost otherworldly people.
So true.
There's a weird connection there.
Yeah.
Right? Because they've walked through something that just has humbled them, refined them, shaped them. And they did it well. Because like I said, if you don't do it well, it doesn't turn into that. But it does if you let it. It's a gift if you let it. It's almost like how you receive it makes it a blessing or a curse.
It's so true. Yeah.
Pain can curse you, for lack of a better term, or it can bless you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's interesting too, because I think a lot of times we think that if God loves us, he would give us no pain. And if he doesn't love us, then we get pain, like he must not love us. When it's not about if he gives you pain or not, it's about it is going to happen. His gift is that he can take you how you receive it.
Well,
what dictates your future is how you receive it.
Is that he's with you in it. Yeah. He doesn't leave you alone in it. I think sometimes we can get so fearful of the future. What if this happens? But it's because we're taking out of the equation that God's love doesn't change for us in that moment. So just as he loves us right now, just as he's with us right now, he will be with us in that moment. He will love us in that moment, and he will give us the strength to endure that moment and come even closer, which is like the sweetest thing. And it's hard to even talk about it for me because I can easily get so fearful in my mind, like, oh, I want this to happen or this to happen. Mm-hmm. But then when you think of the gift of how it brings you so much closer to the Lord, then it's like, it really is a gift.
Yes, totally. So, and what I would say is, I feel like, so then how do you feel then, like when it's just wherever the spectrum, a big thing or just a small kind of micro pains in the sense of just like a, small thing with a friendship or just a thing you read or just how your day feels, how do you then walk through that to make sure you're receiving it well?
I don't know. But you answer it.
You answer it.
I don't
How do you receive the gift?
Instead of not very well.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I think even if we know pain is a gift, I think it's natural and good to let it take a while to get to that. To be able to, it's not going to be like, oh, this horrible thing happened and like, oh, thank you, Jesus. It's like, I think we can get mad, we can get angry, we can grieve, we can be really sad, but as long as we're doing all that at the feet of Jesus, then that's when he comes close, and that's when he refines, and that's when he gives us hope. But I don't think it's just a natural, like, oh, maybe it's just me, I don't naturally think, oh, yay, I'm going to be more like Jesus because of this. Like, I think it's good to go through those heartness, whatever you call that, and I think the Lord wants us to do that as long as it's at his feet.
Yeah. One, I feel like one thing too that we always forget is like, guys, if you're a follower of Jesus, you have the prototype of how to walk through everything in life, and that's in Jesus's life himself, the death and the resurrection. Like the death and resurrection of Jesus is how life works well. You need to let it die so it can resurrect, right? You need to like willingly surrender. Like Jesus surrendered himself to the cross, right? He willingly put himself there, even though obviously it looked like at some level the Romans and the religious authorities killed him. He says, you guys aren't taking this from me. I'm doing this. I'm giving my life up. It was his choice. He was willing. He surrendered his life, right? And through that, he was fully taken away and defeated, and he was fully drained, and his life went out from him in that surrender, in that full surrender, the ultimate surrender of sacrifice and love, which then went down into the grave, which represents death, decay, right? But yet, because of the power of God, he says, because of the faith of that surrender, I'm going to resurrect you, right? I'm going to resurrect into new life, new creation. The tomb's going to be empty. The stone's going to be rolled away. There's new life. There's new creation. There's a new way to do things. And you can come out completely different. And like what Jesus says, like unless a seed, right, or a grain of wheat can fall unless it can die and fall into the ground, then it can't bear any fruit. Like it actually has to do that to do its job. It has to do that. Right? And a lot of us, I think we kind of go kicking and screaming. Yeah. And like Jesus didn't go kicking and screaming. He surrendered. And so I think a lot of us just have to really ask ourselves, like, he can be trusted with our pain. He can be trusted with our hard parts. He can be trusted with the difficulty. He can be trusted with anything we're going through that feels like a burden that might crush us. And it might, but there's resurrection. But there's there's Sunday. But there's hope. But there's new life.
That's so good.
You know? I don't know. What would you say to that?
Keep preaching to my heart. Keep going, babe. Give it.
No, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that's so good. I don't know if I have anything to add.
This will be our first 15-minute podcast.
Oh, sorry, guys. I guess I failed in that. But
no, you did good. People, hey, 15 minutes of you is way more quality than 30 minutes of me. You dominate.
No,
man.
I think the thing is there's Jenny's ice cream waiting for us in the freezer.
Yeah, guys.
It's literally all I can think about right now. So my tummy is growling.
If you guys don't know Jenny's ice cream, it's mainly in Nashville, but I think started in Ohio or something like that.
But don't they sell it at Whole Foods now?
Yeah, it's like a Nashville, but I mean, like, it's like a storefront.
Yes.
And it is the best ice cream in the world.
It
is amazing and incredible. But they ship it on dry ice to for special occasions, and our friends knew we loved it, and they shipped it to us. And usually when we've had that happen a couple times before from other people and other friends, usually it's 1 pint or 3 pints,
which is still amazing.
Amazing. They shipped us 7 pints, and I literally almost fell out of my chair, and I just said, "Did the Lord just second come? Was this the second coming?
It was so good.
It was amazing.
I mean, we haven't had it yet, but I almost cried.
So all that to say, we're going. Yeah, that's what we will be washing away our pain with Jenny's.
Okay. I'm gonna get focused though. No, but I think what you're saying is so good that I think it's both. I think you can go through all the feelings and the doubt and the pain and the anger while you're surrendering. And sometimes I think we can't I think in the Christian culture, it's like we hear this phrase all my life, surrender to the Lord, which I actually haven't really used that very often, and I should, because it's actually really good. And so then I felt growing up if I surrender, then I can't actually feel those feelings. I had to suppress it.
Yeah, that's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, where I think it's both.
You're actually surrendering them. You're actually kind of saying
I think
it's out in the open.
Yes.
I'm opening my hands to these feelings.
Yes, and it's I'm doubting this, and I feel like it's so what David did through all the Psalms. This is my pain. This is what's going on. I'm upset about this. Do this. I don't get this. But then remembering, but you're Lord, and I trust you, and you're good. And I love what you said about we can trust the Lord with our pain. And so you can surrender it to him. And I think that whole surrender is a trust then. You can trust him with your heart in it. That you can trust that he sees your heart is breaking. He can trust that he's a safe place to ask all the questions. Lord, I don't understand this. And not that he'll answer all the questions. I think there's still mystery in the Lord that we won't fully understand until heaven. But I think he somehow meets us in our questions and maybe doesn't answer them, but what do you call that? Meets us with his presence in a way that satisfies us, where we don't need the answer to the question.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, a lot of us think we buy the lie that the answer will satisfy. Yes. A lot of us, if God does give us the actual theological answer, we'd still be in pain. Yeah. It's a weird lie that we believe that if I can just have my theology and brain and logic all wrapped up in a bow and tightened
why
up.
Why did this happen?
Yeah,
let me know.
The why. Yeah. But it's that's not actually going to solve anything. And most people don't ever think twice, take 2 seconds to realize how true that obviously is, right? What does satisfy is a presence. What does satisfy, like you said, is the love and the anchoring. The why doesn't satisfy. It can help sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
But it doesn't satisfy.
And so then bringing it back to relationships, I think it is so important then to learn to be a person who allows people to be in pain, where you don't feel like you have to fix it all the time. You don't feel like you have to give them the right answer. You don't have to give them the Christian cliche thing, but you can sit in the pain with them. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest gift that you can give someone that's walking through pain, that you can just sit there and cry with them and say, I'm so sorry. That is so hard. And just pray with them or cry with them or get away with them. I feel like if you're married, just get away with them and cry together. And I think that's such a gift that you give in a friendship, and a lot of us don't know how to do that. And so sometimes then it can make a friendship not be as strong, because when you're in pain, you need somebody to You need people that just walk it with you. And I feel like that's exactly what Jesus does. It's not like he's like, gives you a pat on your back and like, oh, I'm so sorry. How about that game on Friday? You know,
Yeah,
like
totally.
And so I think the gift of just sitting with people and saying something, like, not that you have to answer it, but just, I'm really sorry, or that's so hard, or whatever. I think that brings friends together to become real close friends.
Yeah.
Or trustworthy friends.
Yeah. One last thing I'll say, and then we can end a few minutes early just because I think what you said is so good. I want people to have that as their final thought, is what you said was surrender, and it not meaning that you don't be honest or don't be. It's actually, you can't surrender something until you're honest, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Like when you go to some type of, you know, when you check into prison or something, not like I know, but I'm just saying when they're like on movies and stuff like that, they say, I have been arrested once. I'll tell that story later. But if you like check into prison, right, on the shows or something, they say like you have to surrender your items, right? Like surrender your, you know, what's in your pocket and your clothes or what you brought in or whatever when you get arrested. You know, now if they said, hey, surrender your wallet, you know, before you kind of check in per se, and you go, what wallet? Like, I don't have a wallet. I don't have a wallet. Well, then you can't surrender it, right? Because you're being weird and you're like lying and you're like stuffing it, right? You can only surrender something if you actually are honest and acknowledge it first. And I think that's true with all of our emotions. Like, you can't surrender your anger and like your bitterness at God until you actually say, I'm angry and bitter at God, right? Or you can't, like, and that's what the Psalms are. The Psalms are just David pouring out his heart on a deep, visceral, emotional level, so that then he can surrender it, right? So that then he can actually open his hands. So many of us are walking around with tight, closed hands and just like clenching our fists, which give us anxiety and anxiousness and tension, rather than like opening those fists in surrender and saying, I'm going to acknowledge what's in my fist, so I can actually, when you open a hand, you can see it.
And all the little moments and the big moments.
And I'm going to also give it to him. So
that's so good. I was going to say one more thing with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a mom brain, though, moment. What was it? Oh, and I think that's the thing, too, is like sometimes that takes time.
Yes.
Sometimes you can say, I surrender, or I trust you, Lord, or I'm really angry and bitter about this. But I think giving yourself the time, too, to work through that. Like, sometimes I think it takes time to even understand what's going on in our hearts and why are we angry? Why did that set us off? Why is this so hard? And I think knowing that it's not just like a moment thing or a day thing, but it may be like a little bit, and like just to keep pressing into the Lord. And
it's a practice, really.
It is a practice, and the Lord just wants us to come to Him. Yeah. And I think there's beauty in that, and He will meet us in that. Yeah. And so like just come to Him in that.
That's so good. So we're going to end a few minutes early, guys, because I feel like that was just so kind of, Alyssa brought so much fire and so much density to that I want you guys to just distill that, think on that, and let that be the encouragement for today. But I'm really excited to hear you guys' thoughts on this episode. So let us know, share the episode, send it to someone who might hopefully be encouraged, who's walking through a tough time. But we're also excited to hear what you think. So hope it encouraged you, and we love you guys. Take care.